In this lesson, we're going to prepare the mailbox servers in our Sydney location so that we can deploy a database availability group. So as a quick reminder, here's a diagram of what the Sydney network is intended to look like. As you can see, we've got two mailbox servers, SydEx3 and SydEx4, and those are the two that are going to form the database availability group in this Sydney location. And one of my preparation tasks will be to add an additional network interface to each server so that I can configure a dedicated replication network. Now, as I said in the previous video, this is not actually required. You can go ahead and deploy a database availability group without dedicated replication networks. But for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and deploy a dedicated replication network in my DAG. So before I can add some more virtual hardware to my SydEx3 and SydEx4 mailbox servers, I just need to shut them down. And here in my Hyper-V Manager console, you can see those two servers are now completely shut down. The next step will be to add a virtual network for my DAG replication network. So at the moment I've only got networks for Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and external access. I'll need one extra network to connect my replication interfaces to in Sydney. I'm going to make that a private network and I will just call it Sydney replication. Now I can go ahead and open up the settings of each of my mailbox server virtual machines and add an additional network adapter to each one connected to the Sydney replication network. Now that that's done, I'll start both of those up again and just wait for them to boot into Windows. Now my servers are back up and online, I need to go ahead and configure those network interfaces. And just to make things a little bit easier on myself, I'm going to rename the new network interface and call it Replication 1. On the replication network, we don't need the client for Microsoft Networks, we don't need file and printer sharing. I'll leave all the other things alone for now, and I'll just configure an IP address. Got a whole C class to work with there, and just make sure that the connection doesn't register in DNS. Now, as I mentioned in the previous lesson, database availability groups do make use of the failover clustering bits in Windows Server, so we also need to make sure that those are installed on our servers. So once again, we import module server manager, and we'll just have a look at the current status of the Windows feature failover clustering. We can see that it's currently not installed, so I'll go ahead and add that Windows feature. Okay, the failover clustering feature is now installed. There's no restart required, so I don't need PowerShell or that window anymore. So I just need to go and repeat that configuration now on SydEx4. Once again, I'll just call that replication 1. I call it replication 1 instead of just replication, in case I wanted to add a second replication network later. We could call that one replication 2, for example. It's just a naming standard that I use. You're really free to call these replication network adapters anything that you like. So the IP address goes in, disable DNS registration, and we also need to add the failover clustering Windows feature. And that was successful again, and once again there's no restart required. So let's just quickly make sure that the two servers can communicate with each other on that replication network. Okay, so I can ping the other server's replication interface from CDX3 to CDX4. I'll just try the same in reverse. And that all looks good. So that completes the preparation of the servers. In the next lesson, we'll begin the actual configuration of the database availability group.